Well, to Indonesia now, where figures show around 1 in 5 Gen Zs are unemployed. That's according to latest government data. It's become a hot topic on social media, with many young people speaking out about their experiences.
10 million Gen Zs are unemployed. They're not studying, they're not working. What do they want?
Hearing that news, I somewhat relate to it.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined by Raffa Athallah from ABC's Indonesian team. Raffa, perfect person to speak to here, being from Gen Z yourself. Tell us, how are young Indonesians feeling about this issue?
Yeah, so it's a really big issue that's happening at the moment. Nearly 10 million Gen Zs. That is such a massive amount.
Staggering.
Yeah, and more than 20% of the generation overall. So yeah, it's happening to a lot of people, and it's happening actually to some of my friends, because when I went back to Indonesia a few months ago for a holiday, I was catching up with a few of them, and then some of them are struggling to find jobs despite just graduating. They were all fresh grads. And I did find it pretty odd, because they were really hard workers, they did really well in university, and some of them even had internship experience even before graduating. So when I knew I was working on this story, I wanted to cover their experiences and hear more about their stories. Here's what some of them, Alia and Indira, had to say.
Aku kan juga sebenarnya udah punya experience, aku S2, tapi tetap juga susah cari kerja gitu. And I think a lot of them interviewed me until the last step, and it took like a month for the whole process. But at the end of the day, they said that, oh, we actually don't need this position, so we're not gonna accept anyone, and the position is closed.
Ya, itu sih. I think it's a contradicting value ya menurut aku. Kayak kita fresh grad, tapi mereka expect kita untuk punya experience yang lebih. Jadi tuh kita sebenarnya dari kuliah juga nggak ada yang diajarin untuk benar-benar kayak tahu pekerjaan dunia luar tuh kayak gimana gitu loh, pekerjaan kantoran atau apa tuh kita belum ada bayangan.
I really feel for these young people, and I guess they have to be creative in terms of how they respond to this issue. What's the government been doing and saying about it?
Yeah, so the current Minister of Manpower of Indonesia, Ida Fauzia, eventually addressed this issue, and she mentioned that the high rate of unemployment among Gen Z is because that there's a disconnect between what professions that Gen Z are taking and studying versus the professions that are actually needed in the workforce/industry. And the ABC Indonesian team, we talked to an expert about all of this, and she, somewhat agree with this sentiment that the minister said. And the expert basically said that there's such a high prioritization and focus on getting higher education degrees in Indonesian society in general, and not vocational graduates, which is really, really unfortunate, because Indonesia actually really needs a lot of graduates, like vocational graduates, especially in sectors such as agriculture, mining, forestry, sectors that are actually really vital for the Indonesian economy. Here's more of what the expert had to say.
Manusianya ada, tapi tidak mampu memenuhi kebutuhan yang dicari oleh industri. Pendidikan vokasi yang justru sebenarnya menyiapkan karpet merah untuk ke industri, itu justru dianggap pendidikan kelas kedua atau bahkan kelas ketiga.
Some really interesting viewpoints there, Raffa. Thanks so much for coming in and telling us about this story.
Yeah, thank you, Yvonne.